Due to us living every day pretty much under the A280 bubble here in Finland, the only way to survive during the crisis is to fly low level, and that's the main reason we train it quite a lot here in Helicopter Battalion. Because as we've seen in Ukraine, if you fly too high, you get killed. The overall task of the Helicopter Battalion is to provide soft air power by the means of helicopters, because we only have helicopters here in Utti in our battalion. All the other forces of the Defence Force in Finland don't have any helo, so that's the main task for us, and also to provide the helicopter support to different conventional commands like Army, Navy and Air Force. NH90 itself, it's very advanced helicopter. It has lots of systems which we actually need here in Finland, because we have cold weather, we have quite big distances between different parts of the country. So we need a good range with the helo. NH90 provides that. We also need systems which allows us to operate in the harshest winter conditions we usually have, at least during some points of the winter. And we have anti-icing system, de-icing system, which pretty much provide us capability to fly at least in moderate icing conditions and also sometimes during the severe icing conditions. But of course, due to our geography and maybe the threats close to our borders, the aircraft is quite capable of operating under different threat conditions. The electronic warfare suite is really good, it's really programmable, but also the aircraft itself is not that easy to detect by the radars. The main thing if you want to survive is to fly low, and you want to go low because you want like to be detected. But of course you also need to have real good understanding where the enemy might be. So that's something what the aircraft itself doesn't provide, but you also need to have some intel background and intel support to actually conclude the mission safely. So I would say that helicopters itself don't survive in a bubble, but they actually are supported by many stakeholders, which give us the best way to survive in the battlefield. We have had decent success with NH90 pretty much due to the fact that we started flying with it straight away when the aircraft itself was in initial operational configuration. We were pretty much obliged to do that. We needed to do that, and that's why we actually learned to know all the features and all the small problems the aircraft had in the first phases of the actual operation here in Finland. But I would say, and whenever we here in Finland or Finnish SOF we face a problem, we actually need to find ways to overcome it, because we don't have any other choices. So the good thing about having the loadmasters with technical background is that we can actually disperse our operations across the country during the peacetime, but also during the crisis times. Whether it affects our doctrine, I cannot answer here, but of course it gives us tools to do that kind of stuff. And of course, because the nature of crisis nowadays could be anything from hybrid warfare to full-scale operations, it's good that we can actually fly everywhere and pretty much do our ops in many different places. As we have seen in Ukraine, the actual how to survive with the helos there, you really need to do disperse operations from bases which are not like any permanent features. Those guys need to live in the woods. That's something for the future for many countries and their helicopter units as well. I think we have found a pretty good balance between the soft mindset and the flight safety. We haven't had any fatal crashes with our helos ever here in Finnish Defence Forces. Usually the ground SOF or the Navy SOF, so our customers, they want to do the missions very thoroughly. Sometimes they demand very difficult things from us, and always we have to consider flight safety behind that. So it's a very fine line between those two things we need to try to balance on. I enjoy this position as a battalion commander the most because we have really good aircraft, but we have even better people operating with it. It's really fun from day to day to work with these people and work together with a better future.